they were mostly thinking landlines then, not cell phones. But my point is, that is a good aggregation, but policy will determine that, not technology. And then technology will serve that scenario. I did believe with the right telecommunications infrastructure and good communications, you could enable that model to work without needing to move to a big city, because a lot could be done locally. And today believe that technology, even more so today, can make that possible and make a lot of the services that weren't available in a small city of 1 million or 2 million people possible today. So really have every person in India be able to live within a bicycle commute. Now, today is a little different, but back then, most of the population was rural. So you had to speculate that most of it will move to cities, as happened in this country and happened in other countries too. Right. China's seen some of this migration with pretty negative consequences of people moving away from their communities.
If you were a betting man, would you bet on de-urbanization or urbanization in the next decade?
I think it will depend in each country on the policies they adapt and the incentive systems they set up.
Which do you suspect is a better policy?
Oh, de-urbanization is clearly a better policy.
Right.
Yeah, I believe.
Right. And if I were to bring it back to our audience, Vinod, assume I'm a 22-year-old boy or girl in India. I want to learn from Vinod, who has done a spectacular job of calling what industries might do well tomorrow. I want help from you in figuring out where I should spend the next 10 or 20 years of my life. Which industry should I work in terms of a job, or which industry should I start a company in?
So now you come to a very hard question. If I'm 20, by the time I'm 35, the year 2040, the world will be more different from today in 15 years. Well within the lifetime. If you go into medical school and take 5-6 years doing that, you waste half that time. Then the world is today from 1970. So you'd have to look back 50 years or more.
Why don't you call 5 years for me? I want to learn from you in making my career choice today. So if 10, 15 years are too far ahead to extrapolate, I'm 22 today. Tell me for when I'm 27, 5 years from now.
So the answer is the same for both.
Right.
Sorry, long-winded way.
Right.
The point I was making is we'll see more change in the next 15 years than we've seen the last 50. And 50 years ago, the world, especially in India, was a very, very different world. In 1970, I never had a TV at home or a telephone at home. Like, even when I left India, I'd never had a telephone or a TV at home.
Right.
It wasn't something that was in most homes in India, or running water, or very basic things. And that's how different the world will be in 15 years. Almost certainly, with no doubt, there isn't a job where AI won't be able to do 80% of all jobs. So 80% of all jobs, AI will be able to do most of it within the next 3 to 5 years. So now I'm getting really in. So if you look 10 or 15 years out, there's no chance there's a job that humans do that AI can't do almost as well, with some minor exceptions, which I think today I have a hard time saying will happen for sure for regulatory or other reasons, like a heart surgeon or a brain surgeon. But even those, AI will be able to do it better than a human, but regulation may not allow it.
Right.
But leaving aside those exceptions, the vast majority of jobs will be done will be capable of being done by an AI. And that's what today's 20 or 22-year-old has to take for granted. So what matters? The single most important thing that matters is not specialization in an area. I don't learn welding or I don't learn finance. I learn the ability to learn. Be able to move around rapidly as the world evolves and learn rapidly. And I have to say, today, at age 70, I'm learning at a much faster pace than I've ever learned in my whole life, ever. In every 20-year-old should strive for this ability to jump into any new area, whether it's a physics problem or a biology problem or a finance problem, just this ability to think from first principles and learning new areas. Because ChatGPT can teach you any new areas. And AI will have that capability to be able to leverage these things well. So I would say you have to optimize your career for flexibility, not a single profession.
Okay.
That's the most important advice because you don't know what will be around. Almost certainly, this interview could be done without us physically meeting on real video generated by an AI. And the AI may be directed with what camera angle somebody wants.
I hear you, Vinod, when you say the rate of change will be faster. I'm going to, as a 22-year-old, be more adaptable and flexible. I still need to make a choice today. Do I work in a IT services company? Do I work in a nuclear fusion company? Do I work in a data center? I still need to pick.
Yeah, so I do think it almost doesn't matter where you start.
Right.
Okay? I'm saying, first, education is going to be valuable to learn how to learn, not to be good at one thing like being an accountant or a chartered accountant. Right. That's not going to be important, but that education, the process of learning how to learn, and in fact, one of the best things about computer science isn't that you can programming. Because, Google's gone from 0% AI-generated code to, I think they last claimed 35% of all code being written in Google is being written by an AI. But it's the process of thinking that computer science teaches you really well. And learning architectures and systems and system things. Some of those things are about learning to learn. But you can do it in a number of areas. So it's not just computer science. So I would say there's a wide range of things, but keeping your lens zoomed out for the widest angle is sort of the way to think about how you should go about your career.
So you're saying don't be a specialist, be a generalist.
Be a generalist, not a specialist. Absolutely.
Right.
And learn how to be a generalist. Learn how to use AI the best. And we maybe it'll eliminate all jobs. AI will. But the fact is, for certain, the people who don't know how to use AI will be obsoleted by people who know how to use AI first.
Right.
And there, if you're dynamic and learning, then you can move with whatever's happening in the world. I would say the following. It's just because we can't predict the future doesn't mean it won't be dramatically different. We just don't know what it will be. I like to say something else, which is most people, most of the time, assume improbables are not important. I've always assumed the exact opposite. only the improbables are important. We just don't know which of 1,000 improbables is important. So what do you do in that case? You go for agility. You follow trends, you move around, you be more adaptable and flexible, do more first principles thinking. It's a very different way of growing up, whether you're 20 or you're 60 or 70. And, clearly I'm learning more now, as I said. And so today I feel like I can have an intelligent conversation around cell therapy in biology or about fusion. I can do both. Or about Carnot efficiency in steam engines, which we discussed today for some aesthetic reason. Certain fundamental things, you have a broad knowledge on which you can build other knowledge. So what is that pedestal of knowledge you acquire and how do you keep expanding it is very, very important. Most people stop learning, and I think I would say, if you get a job as a waiter at a restaurant, 20 years later, you haven't gained a lot more expertise that you didn't gain in the first year as a waiter at a restaurant. You're not exponential compounding of your capability. But other jobs, if I pick the right one, your knowledge compounds and your capability compounds over time. So I would look at the basic principle of financial compounding in knowledge and job capability as a young individual. What will make it compound? And then you have to intersect that with what's interesting to me. What do I have passion for?
If AI were to disrupt all jobs, will AI also need to be nationalized and we move back to a socialistic economy in a way?
Look.
Or does capital continue to remain the moat going into a world like that?
It's very hard to tell. It depends on policies each country adapts. And I think each country, or at least each region, will make different choices. So why do we have capitalism? It was fundamentally for economic efficiency. The world of Adam Smith was about economic efficiency. And the idea that if a human is doing a job, they'll be much more efficient if they're doing it for themselves and earning more income. The need for efficiency may decline dramatically in most areas, not in all areas. You'll still need to be efficient in the amount of steel or cement or copper you use. But efficiency's role will decline. And hence, how you structure it and how you give the benefits of these technologies to everybody is a social choice. It's not a technology choice. It's not a choice entrepreneurs will make.
Could one argue that before Adam Smith cropped up in Scotland, if you go back many centuries before that, man was still looking out for his best, his own interest? So we might not have had the term capitalism in today's parlance.
It was always about capitalism, right?
So in a post-AI world as well, we will feel the need to distinguish ourselves and compete?
Yes, but will we have the ability to? So imagine the following. You've seen my wife's company, CK12. If every child in India, which I hope happens in the next 5 years, has a free AI tutor, that's entirely possible today at a small fraction of the education budget the government has today. And it'll be better than the best education a rich person can offer their kids by hiring them personal teachers. Almost certainly. The AI will do a better job than the most expensive tutor or teacher you can hire for your kids if you're rich and can afford anything. In that world, education is really free and it's ongoing. And whether it's sixth grade education or college education or professional education, it doesn't matter. And you'll be able to do anything at any time and switch your majors because you don't have to go back to college for 3 or 5 years to change from electrical engineering to mechanical engineering or from medicine to something else. I think that world is soon. So education's free. Imagine if medical expertise was free. Every doctor was free. Imagine every lawyer was free and every judge was free, so AI could judge a legal dispute, so everybody had access. Most people in India probably can't hire a lawyer to enforce their rights. And that's why we don't have real justice, right? Access to fairness. And of course, the courts are bottlenecked and you can have AI judges. So, and frankly, 10 years ago, I wrote about the poorest person can have the best wealth advisor at their level, even if they're making 5,000 rupees a month. Because they can, because it's in somebody who makes a lot more won't have better advisors. In fact, even if you wanted just tax dodge and do tax schemes and stuff, the AI will be able to figure that out better than a human. So in that world, how do you distribute wealth? If a farm worker can do the same job that an oncologist can, you pay him the same? Almost certainly it'll be true 15 years from now. And I mean that almost certainly it'll be true.
Right.
So very hard to predict how this sorts out. And many countries will resist it because unemployment, it causes dislocation, which people always object to.
Based on that, if the AI models of today, the incumbent world, are controlled by one geography, how do you think of sovereign AI in countries like India?
Well, that's why we have Sarvam in India. I've always assumed countries will want sovereign AI. That's why we invest in Sarvam in India. We invest in a company called Sakana in Japan for the same reason. Now, certain populations aren't large enough to have their own AI, but regions do.
Do you think the time is near when we all start capitalizing and protecting our data in a manner that we give access to some AI based on our preferences or geographies?
Again, that'll be a function of government policy. Right? Europeans have very different data policy than the US does.
Right. Likely outcome, you think?
I don't think so. I think, look, you can choose not to share any information with Google today or wipe out all your information. But do you then get the benefits of the services on which they can customize to you? I have no question. I'd rather share my data and get customized services than get services that are not customized to me.
I would say that if my data is the commodity that is bringing revenue to company X, I would want to get a share in the revenue in one manner or another.
But you do. Reid Hoffman has a new book called Super Agency. If you read it, he talks about the fact that, if you ask people the following question, at what price would you not use Facebook? Right? Like how much would you pay if I said, I'm taking it away, but you can get it back if you pay for it? And it's like $40 or $50 a month.
Mm-hmm.
How much does Facebook make from you per month on average? About $40 or $50 a year. So you're getting, pick a number, $600 worth of value, and they're getting $50 worth of value in a year. What is a fair exchange? Everybody has the option to not buy into these services. Now, there's lots of nuances, but is an economic surplus created? Yes. Again, it's a policy question.
Yeah, it kind of like...
Government policy will have a lot more to do with these things than people realize today. And, I've argued, and I would argue, as part of Aadhaar, today we have UPI, which takes away the need for Visa and MasterCard. So it's a 3% tax on the economy that Indians don't pay, but everybody in the US pays. But what if in addition to payment services, there was medical services and education services? My bet is every Indian could get that at less than $1 a month, or $1 billion a month for each of these, or $10 billion a year. It's so trivial in cost. If I was PM Modi, I'd be doing everything I can to get those as common services. And at that point, because AI is doing the work, you don't care about economic efficiency. Your government is as efficient as private enterprise in these services that can be made into AI. And they should be. They're so accessible today. They'll always be available. If you live in a village, you shouldn't have to go take a day's journey to go get a basic medical checkup, and the doctor sees you for 5 minutes, and then you spend a day getting back to your village. It just shouldn't. And 10 years ago in this document, I wrote about the fact at some point in the future, much more, we are 5 minutes from Stanford Hospital. And I wrote about the fact that a village in India, I will get better cardiac advice, cardiac care, than I can get at Stanford, because Stanford will still in 15 years have their cardiologists, and in a village there'll be AI. Almost certainly true. So should the government include all of these services or as many of these services for free? They can't include everything. Housing will still be a material thing, and so you can't give it away for free. But the software-based services that depend on expertise, personal lawyers for everybody, personal tutors for every child or adult, the personal medical care advice, if you need surgery or medicine, you still need a physical thing. But half the economy could be covered in almost free services from the government. And to be honest, I'd love to do that in India.
Right.
It's such a no-brainer. And make it available in the next 5 years. But let's talk about what entrepreneurs have as opportunities. I get away into these.
No, I heard you and Bill debate this. Why does regulation not allow doctors? In the UK, I think you were making a case for. Yeah. I heard you make that debate.
Look, mental health services aren't available in India. In the UK, we have something that's used by 40% of all NHS mental health clinics to intake patients. What does intaking a patient mean? A therapist talk to them and classify their mental illness. The AI is much more accurate than the human therapists, 93% accuracy for talk-based therapy kinds of conditions. Are you bipolar? Are you schizophrenic? Are you depressed? And AI can do the therapy. It should be scaled infinitely in India. And it's kind of thing people may be afraid to go or embarrassed to go ask for services, and there aren't enough therapists in India to meet everybody's needs, but the AI can offer it for free.
So in a way, you're also saying that UBI is an inevitability.
I think some form of income redistribution by 2050 will be absolutely essential everywhere in the world.
Do you think it'll be income redistribution, or will it be shoring up the bottom part of the population?
Well, there's many ways to get there. You could give everybody income for not working. The question is, where do you get that from? There's probably another way, which is my favorite way, is to deflate the economy.
Which is what America is doing?
Well, if you do excess spending, you'll get inflation, not deflation. But if a lot of services become free, you'll have a deflationary economy. So in my essay on AI dystopia or utopia, I talk about, in the US, I believe 25 years from now, it could be that $10,000 today, in 2050, buys more goods and services that you need, whether it's food or housing or medical services or entertainment or education, then $50,000 buys today.
Because the services will be provided by machines which don't inflate?
Yeah, you'll have excessive production, so deflationary prices. You're no longer constrained by inputs to get outputs. In many areas, in some areas, you'll still have inputs, but you'll have much more input.
Isn't the cost of a service also dependent on purchasing power? Like how much I am willing to pay relative to Vinod?
Yeah, except if there's infinite supply. If there's an infinite supply of doctors, what do you think a doctor will cost?
I think Adam Smith, like you mentioned earlier, also spoke about the marginal utility of things, wherein one agentic doctor, the first one that is created and is free, has X in value. The second, the third, the fourth proportionately have lower and lower value to a point where they have no value.
But overnight, if I created 1 billion doctors for India, which is entirely feasible, what happens? They become near free. Their cost of computing or the cost of power to run a computer. Right. Same thing happens in education. Same thing happens in legal
service. Does the cost of compute of a AI ever, like your brain has a cost of compute, right? The amount of energy it takes to produce an output. Let's say that today that is far cheaper than how much AI is taking. When do you think that crossover happens, when the cost of compute in a system becomes lesser than the human?
I think this is a complex question, because at some level the cost will decline, but you won't take advantage in efficiency in cost, but you'll take it in more performance. So if everybody has a super assistant, if your personal housekeeper is a PhD in every subject, that's sort of the world to imagine.